right. So she is beautiful, isn't she? This is Teresa Bruni.
Who said that?
That's Barbara. Barbara said that.
Thank you.
You should see Barbara. She's quite beautiful herself. I've known her for a long time. This is Greg Liotta, and I am bringing you the third in a series of interviews with master coaches. The series is called Your Best Life Yet, and I've had just an incredible run of coaches that have been coming on here speaking about their services in the realm of empowerment, personal health and wellness, spirituality. And tonight we are so fortunate to have Teresa Bruni, a nationally recognized intuitive healer, health and wellness coach, and a speaker. She really is the missing piece to the wellness team of anyone suffering from chronic illness or pain and has not found relief through the Western medical system. Teresa's extensive understanding of the sources of pain and illness, and she offers a powerful set of tools to release that, means that her clients obtain not only the health that they desire, but a life beyond their wildest dreams. We're going to talk about this a little bit. Teresa's path to becoming a healer, it became clear after battling a chronic condition that lasted nearly a decade and rendered her completely disabled. When she realized that the medical community simply didn't have the answers that she needed, she knew she had to take matters into her own hands, and she did. Since discovering the missing pieces and becoming fully recovered since 1999, Teresa Bruni is now on a mission to share what she learned to help herself and others heal. I'm going to read a list of her training and her achievements because it is quite impressive. She is a certified professional coach, having graduated from IPEC, an International Coach Federation accredited institute. She is a published author. I'm going to tell you about a couple of her books tonight. A keynote speaker, a certified Energy Leadership Index master practitioner, a 2013 E-Woman Network Premier Success Coach, a certified ultra-high frequency energy healing master, a certified peace process master, a certified instant miracle coach, and a certified muscle testing master. I'm going to tell you, just reading all of that, I feel healed just reading that. I mean, I don't even know what you can do.
Well, that's the instant miracle part, Greg.
I'm all about it, girl. I'm all about it. I want to hear about instant miracles, okay?
And actually, and I say this, I'm blushing, but there's one missing, and that is I'm also a Psych K facilitator, and that's a new tool that I just added to my bag in August, and it's been powerful. And I also, it's important for people to understand that when I was going through my battle with my health, I did not have the internet. Let's keep in mind, I recovered and went back to work in 1999. And I had been sick for 9 years prior. And so there was no internet. So I didn't have the luxury of just going on the internet and Googling natural cures, alternative therapies, the power of prayer. For me, the journey was a little more difficult than it would be for someone today. And since that time, my learning has not stopped. I learned new things about healing and about wellness and about the power of the mind every single day. So there's a lot to share. I don't know how much we're going to get to cover tonight, but we'll do our best.
And you're already getting questions. So we have a lot, so much to cover. You have such an extensive really an extensive background and array of tools. But I just want to take a step back, and I'd like to ask you, Teresa, if you could just speak a little bit more about your illness. What was happening to you?
Well, at the time, I had a very nice corporate career. I was actually working in downtown Manhattan, a place that you're familiar with.
I hope the audience can handle all of this New Yorkness.
Yeah, I know. I lived in New Jersey. I was just north of Princeton, and I was commuting into Manhattan, and I ran mainframe accounting systems. And
you ran. I'm sorry, you ran what?
Mainframe accounting.
Accounting? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a geek in disguise.
A geek.
I'm a geek in disguise. Long story short, I started not to feel well, and I was very strong at the time. I was physically fit, probably the best shape of my life, and I started to have struggles, and it progressed to the point where I was calling in sick to work 2 to 3 days a week. I went from doctor to doctor looking, to try to figure out what was wrong with me. And typically what will happen if the doctors, if the medical community does not have an answer, quite often they will diagnose the patient as being depressed, and that's what happened to me. My doctor handed me a prescription and sent me to stress management. I had never been chronically ill before, and so I just did what my doctor told me to do, and I filled the prescription. Come to find out, he had handed me antidepressants, and the stress management, he sent me to a therapist. So, but that was good. I stayed with that therapist for 10 years or for 9 years, and he helped me to deal with this incredible challenge that I had in front of me. Eventually, I was diagnosed by one of the leading immunologists in the country with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I was treated at the Center for Persons with Chronic Fatigue Syndrome at the University of Medicine and Dentistry in Newark, New Jersey. And it is, at the time, it was one of the top 3 research centers for chronic fatigue syndrome in the country. So even today, I know there's a stigma around chronic fatigue syndrome. Some doctors still don't believe that it exists. And all I can tell them is, I had a team of top-notch doctors that will tell you it actually does exist. The problem then, and it's still a problem today, there is no cure for chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. So typically what happens is the doctors will prescribe drugs to help you cope with the symptoms. And what I found was mixing all of those drugs together had a really bad effect on my health. I got to the point where I could not discern between the side effects of my medications and the symptoms of my illness. And so at that point, that's when I really felt as though I had to take matters into my own hands and find a way to get well. So I know I just gave you a whole bunch of information. That should give you.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to help somebody get a better connection. Better get it. better connection over here. But I'm curious to hear about, you had an epiphany at some point.
I did.
Yeah, could you talk about like what happened, like how did that happen, and like how did you respond to that?
Okay. Basically, it was with a friend, a very close, someone who was very close to me, and I basically lost it one day. And this person said to me, you know, these drugs, you're not yourself. And I think that you need to take a look at all these drugs they have you take. And that's when that's when I had the epiphany. And I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. Clearly, they don't have an answer for me. They don't have a cure for me. They're just masking my symptoms, and it's not working very well. And I made a decision that day that I didn't want to live like that anymore, that I was going to find my way back.
And that started this journey towards becoming a healer.
Well, that's my journey, my wellness journey. It took 3 years. My wellness journey lasted 3 years.
3 years of bringing yourself back into health.
Well, I had been ill for 7 years, and you know, you don't take 7 years worth of illness and turn it around overnight. So it takes some time to do that. And for me, again, I didn't have the internet. Everything I did, I either researched at the library, or a lot of it I listened. I gained the knowledge intuitively. I listened to myself. And I started an extreme self-care program. And I incorporated everything, nutrition,
Awesome.
exercise,
Awesome.
made sure I got enough rest. When I say nutrition, I'm talking diet and supplements, massage therapy, physical therapy, meditation, visualization, hot baths, you name it. I tried it. I did vitamin B complex injections. Basically, my philosophy was, if it's not going to hurt me, I'm going to try it.
Right.
And I'm gonna fight. I want my life back. I'm gonna fight for my life back.
Yes.
I also had to do a lot of emotional cleansing, and I had to deal with some emotional struggles and hurts that I had not dealt with. And I had to do some
Excuse me.
Bless you.
That was my first sneeze on Blab, folks. I just want to point that out. Maybe I can get some props for my first sneeze. Maybe.
I had to do some housekeeping, and what I mean by that is I had to get rid of some toxic relationships.
Well, this is interesting. Is one of the things that I came across as I was looking through your amazing website, which I just posted on the side here. I put together an extra sheet that I don't usually do when I'm interviewing folks for this. And this is a sheet called Interesting Facts. One of the things that I found, if you are interested, you ought to check out Teresa's blog. Her website is chock full of awesome programs that we're going to talk about a little bit. But let me tell you, if nothing else, that blog, you should write in that blog more, Teresa. You got a lot of good content.
Thank you. I need to write more.
So how about this one? 61% of cancer patients have been found to struggle with unresolved forgiveness issues. And this is something that came out of a book by Dr. Michael Barry called The Forgiveness Project. So there's plenty of research about this now, right?
Oh, tons of research.
So tell me something. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being absolute. How important is it in terms of bringing oneself into optimal health? How important is it to do this emotional cleansing?
It's a 10.
A 10.
You asked me on a scale from 1 to 10. It's absolutely essential. What we know, even medical science tells us, confirms that stress causes illness. We know this, right? We know that the majority of heart attacks happen on a Monday because that's the most stressful day of the week. Unresolved emotional issues cause stress, underlying stress.
Okay, so can I play devil's advocate for a moment?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I hear that. I'm in that field as well, but come on. We all know these people that, it's genetics. These people that, I have friends that, they're yogis, they're vegans, and they meditate and they do all this and that. They're the ones that get sick. And then you got these other folks, they're eating meat and they're drinking and they're smoking cigarettes and they're cursing about everybody and they're holding all of these grudges and they never get sick. How do you explain that? What's up with that?
Well, uh-oh. Hang on 1 second. You can probably still see me, but I can't see you because
I can see you.
My Google Calendar decided to do a pop-up just to give me 2 seconds to think. Well,
they give me a chance to say hello to Christina Smith. Do you know Christina?
I don't. Hi, Christina.
She looks like she's your type of person. She's all about wellness coaching, and she has a tagline that health should feel good. I like that. Welcome, Christina.
It should. So, all right. So to answer your question, wow, that's a tough question. I'd have to take each individual person and speak with them. What I do know is none of us come here without any struggles. My struggles, my emotional issues that caused me to become sick are nothing compared to what some people go through. Mm-hmm. The loss of a child. There's so many incredibly horrible things that can happen in this world. But it's all a matter of how we handle it. And so, we all hear those stories about the 98-year-old lady who smokes cigarettes and does a shot of whiskey every day. And she lives to be 98.
And they all say that that's the secret to their health, too.
Well, it's all how you manage that stress, and it's all forgiveness is huge. Forgiveness is just huge.
I agree.
And Gary Zukav, I don't know if you've read. I'm sure you've read some of his books. He says there's only 2 emotions: love and fear. And anything that isn't love is fear. And so fear can take many forms. Fear can manifest as depression, hate, self-hate, insecurities, you name it. Anything that's not love, he says, is fear. So if you're living in fear, if you're living in anything but love, then you've got some unresolved emotional issues that need to be dealt with one way or another, and it's not always easy.
So, is there any research to indicate the effect of consciousness or feeling states on immunity and white blood cells?
Yeah, tons of it.
What do they find?
Okay, first of all, I want to go back to your previous question because you talked about DNA. there's actually proof now that we have the ability to change our DNA. We are not subject to the DNA that
we can change our DNA.
absolutely.
How difficult is that, though?
Well, that's the Psych K. Remember I mentioned and that whole list of certifications you read through, I said, oh, there's one missing. Let's see, I have to go update my website. All right, so let me give everybody a resource first of all.
Yeah, I would love you to talk a little more actually about, you have a bunch of fascinating programs, and maybe we could get into that a little right now. Is this Psych K? You're talking about, you know, changing belief systems,
Right.
and I really want to know about this. And I, in fact, just had a conversation with Todd Gaston, who's one of the best coaches around these days, and is talking about changing belief systems like they could be changed like that. And my question to him was, well, yeah, but aren't they? You know, some of them are so deep that they're in our cells, and some of them are so deep that they're transmitted transgenerationally through our DNA.
Yep.
When one inherits belief systems transgenerationally, what is the likelihood that a person will be able to change that within the course of one lifetime, and exactly what does it take to change that, Teresa?
Okay. Wow. You just opened up a huge
We got time.
huge box. Okay, so this is, see, I didn't know all this stuff when I was going through my healing journey. This is why I mentioned earlier, my journey continues. I learn new stuff every single day. Okay, so yes, it is true. We, when we are born, we inherit DNA. And so here's a little food for thought. You know, let's take someone who has breast cancer, and they say, well, you know, it doesn't surprise me because my grandmother had breast cancer, my mother, my sister, my aunt, and my cousin. So my question is, and so that person will say, it's in my DNA. I have no choice. I was going to get breast cancer no matter what.
Right.
So my question is, what if it's the emotional DNA that's causing the illness as opposed to the physical DNA? So I challenge our listeners, anyone who has a particular illness in their family, a history of a particular illness in their family, what emotional baggage have you inherited from your family? Like, for instance, my family, Italians, not real good at forgiving. So this is some emotional DNA that I've inherited.
The sign of a good Italian is how much of a grudge can you keep, and for how long?
That's right. Okay, so all right. So now I want to give our listeners a resource, because this is important stuff. This is really serious stuff we're talking about here. There's a book by Dr. Bruce Lipton called The Biology of Belief.
Yeah.
Dr. Bruce Lipton is a stem cell researcher, and he has proven that we have the ability to change our DNA. We are not victims to our DNA. And he says how we do that is through different forms of hypnosis, but his favorite method is Psych K.
Really?
Yes. And Psych K was developed by Rob Williams.
I'm posting your link to it right now.
Yeah, The Biology of Belief.
No, I'm posting your link to your Psych K page.
Okay. So with Psych K, we can go in and we can shift limiting beliefs instantaneously, in most cases, instantaneously. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
This is
Because
through hypnosis?
it's, well, I don't really put people under, it's a process. And I guess you could classify it as hypnosis, but it's not like I hypnotize you. It's it's a way to communicate with the subconscious, and because that's where our limiting beliefs are stored. Our limiting beliefs are stored in our subconscious. You know that. You know that. You know, because of the work that you do. And so Psyche allows us to go in and shift those limiting beliefs fairly quickly. So it's pretty amazing. So we don't have to be subject to our DNA, and we don't have to be subject to our limiting beliefs. So let's take, for example, an abused child. Okay, you grew up, and your whole life you were told you're not worthy. Well, and you've been reading self-help books for 20 years, okay? But something is still missing. And you've got those affirmations, they're taped to your bathroom mirror, you know, you've got them in your car, you've got them on your cell phone, you listen to affirmations as you fall asleep at night, but something is still missing. It's because it's lodged in your subconscious. And I believe it's Bruce Lipton. Don't quote me on this, but I've read that if you've got a limiting belief lodged deep in your subconscious, you would have to say an affirmation 100 times a day for a year in order to shift and get rid of that subconscious limiting belief. Where with Psyche, we can do it in a couple of sessions.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because I have to tell you something. When I heard that you have to say an affirmation 100 times a day for 1 year, I said to myself, that's not a bad deal. Because, you know, some of these beliefs are so deeply entrenched that they become biology.
They are.
Right? Let's look at addictions, the entire addictions industry. The entire addictions industry. And even then, you have people that they go for years going to meetings and affirming over and over again, I am clean and sober, I am clean and sober,
Yeah.
and still relapse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
yeah.
how can people sign up for a Psyche session with you?
Well, just simply contact me. First of all, I give complimentary sessions, and I do that for two reasons. It's really important that my clients and I are a good fit. So it gives the client a chance to interview me, and it also gives me an opportunity to interview them as well. And I have turned clients down. You know, I can recognize fairly quickly who's willing to do the work and who has the capacity to do the work and who doesn't. So that those complimentary sessions are for both of us to discover one another. And then also, I meet each client where they are. So what I mean by that is I have clients who are have a strong Christian basis. I have clients who are atheists. I have clients who consider themselves spiritual. I meet my clients where they are. It's not essential for my clients to believe what I believe. That's not important. Um, we work within your belief system. And then the next part is we figure out what it is that you need. do you need a psych case session? Is that going to be what works for you? Do you need 6 months of health coaching? You know, if someone's dealing with cancer, or if someone has just recovered from cancer and they're concerned about having a relapse, 1 or 2 psych case sessions is not necessarily going to be the answer. So we sit down and I create a plan basically for each client.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I want to talk with you some more about all of this, but I want to sort of just brush over some of the other things that you also do, because you're like a one-woman show with a million.
Ninja, baby.
You are. Yeah, you are definitely a ninja. I want to ask you a question about weight loss. I know it's not your flagship program.
Correct.
But it is, almost everybody that comes through, but you did just connected to that, you did a life satisfaction survey, and 54% of the people that you surveyed said that they were unhappy with one domain of their life. Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
33% said that they had more stress than they were comfortable with, and almost 10% of the population had felt that they had more stress than they could handle.
Yeah.
And according to the CDC, 50% of adults, over 1 million adults, are dealing with a chronic health problem. And I'm betting that a good number of those 50%, a good number of them are dealing with obesity or heart disease or high blood pressure or some health-related issue. Right?
Yep.
And one of the number one, probably the number one New Year's resolution that people make has to do with weight and fitness. And as a health practitioner,
what are you doing there? What are you doing there? We're getting a little static. Are you playing with something? It's stopped now.
Yeah, sorry about that. See, folks, don't mess with these intuitives, okay? You think nobody can see what you're doing, but when you're dealing with Teresa Bruni, you're in a whole nother realm, okay? Right? Sorry about that. So what's one thing that most people don't understand or know about weight loss, Teresa?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I'm not sure you can limit me to just one. So,
all right.
First of all, what people need to recognize: obesity is a chronic health condition. If you're more than 30 pounds overweight, you have a chronic health condition. We know obesity leads to all kinds of other things. So it needs to be managed. And so the question is, why? Why are you eating so much? And there could be many answers to that. Something I've just learned recently is that packaged foods, many of the packaged dinners that you find in the frozen food section of the supermarket have an additive in there to make you hungrier. So if you're eating processed foods, they're actually, there's like bait in there to make you want to eat more. So that's a problem. That's a problem that, people need to recognize. And maybe you've had that experience where you didn't feel like cooking. I hope to God, frozen food. There you go again. What are you playing with your Tic Tacs? What do you got?
Well, this is a chocolate chip cookie with M&Ms on the inside. And as you can see, someone bought me this today. They also bought me a cupcake with some kind of lemon curd on the inside with coconuts all over. Barbara, She's telling me to throw it away.
No, it sounds well. It's okay. It's okay. It's, all things in limitation. If you're eating like that all the time, that's a problem.
All right, but look, here's what I don't understand, and I would like to understand. I ask myself this question today as I reflect sometimes on my own dietary habits, and I say, you know what? This is unloving.
Yeah.
This is not a loving way to treat myself, to put things in my body that taste good, but they don't make me feel good.
Right.
And then the question came up for me. We all sort of like have a cultural belief system that these unhealthy foods actually taste better. But do they taste better, or do our taste buds just acclimate to them because we're eating them more?
Your taste buds acclimate to them. I can tell you right now, if you were to give up sugar, which means you would take those things that you just told us about and throw them in the trash.
After I eat them.
Yeah.
It's my birthday in a couple of days.
Oh, good.
So all bets are off this week.
Okay, well, that's fine, but, I know, as an example, when I was on my battle to regain my health, I gave up sugar for a year, and I cut out every form of sugar. And then when I decided it was enough and it was okay if I had an occasional piece of birthday cake or, a Mounds bar, one of my favorites. It was so disgustingly sweet, I couldn't tolerate it. So that answers your question. Our taste buds become accustomed to this. Like fast food, I gave up fast food, living in New Jersey and commuting to Manhattan for work. I ate on the run. I'll be honest. I ate on the run, and I ate a lot of those packaged frozen dinners for dinner because I didn't get home until 7:30 at night, and I had to leave at 6 o'clock the next morning. Once I gave all of that up, once I cleaned up my diet, I'm telling you, I cannot even stand the smell of one of those frozen dinners. So you'll be surprised how your taste buds will adjust. And I'm going to be upfront with you right now. I am not a nutritionist.
Okay. Teresa, Barbara has a good question for you. She actually asked another good question a little bit earlier in the program. I'm going to invite her in to ask you. Barbara, why don't you come in here, take a seat.
Is that Barbara who said that Mounds are her favorite too?
Yep. I love Mounds too. Hey,
hello,
Barbara.
How are you? Mounds are my favorite, but I try, I've been exercising for over 35 years. I really try to watch what I eat, and I'm kind of do what you say, Teresa, where everything's in moderation. I try to always eat healthy. So when I want that piece of cake or I want that ice cream, I can have it because I'm always watching what I eat. Right. But the one thing I would love to give up sugar because I hear how much healthier people are when they do, but I don't quite know how to go about doing it. Like I stopped putting it in my coffee, and that's the only time I actually add sugar to something is in my coffee. Like I used to use 2 teaspoons. Now I just have my coffee without sugar. But I don't know where else to try to get rid of it. Because I know sugar's in other things. So what did you do?
Yeah, sugar's in pretty much everything. If first of all, the nutritionist that I was working with told me if it had more than 8 grams or more of sugar in it, I was not to have it. And you will be shocked. You can look at a box of Rice Krispies, right? We grew up on Rice Krispies.
Love Rice
many
Krispies.
Of us, okay? But you always put sugar on them, right? Because they taste like a sugarless food.
Years ago I did, now I don't.
Look at the label. It's not a sugarless food. You'd be surprised what they put sugar in. Recently.
So you went sugarless?
Huh?
You went sugarless?
I went completely sugarless. No sugar, and that means anything also that would turn to sugar. So no alcohol, no white bread. Completely cleaned my system of sugar. Look at
No Italian bread, no braided semolina bread.
none of that.
No challah bread.
None of it.
I love bread.
Just complete. I mean, I was chronically ill, and I wanted to get well. So,
Yeah.
you know, I was willing to do whatever it took. Start looking at your labels. You'll be shocked. Spaghetti sauce. I dare you to find one brand of spaghetti sauce, jarred spaghetti sauce, on the shelf that does not have sugar. Now, Greg, you're Italian. Did your mother ever put sugar in her spaghetti sauce?
I put about a tablespoon in the whole pot.
I don't remember. No, I don't remember that.
My mom never put sugar in the sauce.
But actually, I just over Christmas, I visited a friend, and she made the absolute most delicious spaghetti sauce I ever tasted in my life. And when I asked her about how she did that, she told me she threw sugar in it.
She put some sugar in it. Okay.
And I didn't want to stop eating it.
Yeah.
Well, when I make a batch of tomato sauce, I usually do a double batch, and I use maybe a tablespoon to take away the acidity. But this guy that owns this great ice cream store that I go to once in a while, he has 2 degrees in culinary cooking, and he explained that instead of using sugar, take a raw potato and put that into the sauce, and that'll take away the acidity.
Right. Put a raw potato in there, and that'll pull out the acidity.
Mm-hmm.
And Laura Lindroth is commenting about cutting the bitterness of the tomatoes.
Yeah, that's
Laura
why I
is
do it.
a pretty good chef, and her husband is actually, I'm going to go out and say he's one of the best chefs in the country. He's up in Chicago right now.
So getting back to Barbara's question, just cut the sugar a little bit at a time and start noticing where the sugar is coming from. But quite honestly, I would rather see you have sugar than an artificial sweetener.
Yeah, I don't ever use them. I'm afraid of them.
Yeah.
What about honey?
Honey,
that's natural sugar.
Yeah, you can have honey, and then there's also a natural sweetener. Oh gosh, what's the name of it?
Stevia or something like that. Stevia. I don't use that either. I'm afraid of all those things. I don't know why.
No, stevia is natural.
Stevia
is good.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use stevia or honey.
I want to give Barbara an opportunity to ask another question. You had asked a question a little bit earlier about muscle testing.
Yeah. What can you explain what that is?
Yeah. Okay. Muscle testing's been around for about 40 years. If you want to do some research on it, you want to Google applied kinesiology.
Have you read Power versus Force?
Me? No.
No, Lord.
Teresa?
That's a hard
Teresa?
book to get through.
I was going to say, I know I look smart, but
What? I love that book.
What is his name?
Hawkins.
What is it called? Applied. What did you just say, Greg, is the name of that book?
Power versus Force.
We're talking about different books. I'm talking about a book called Power versus Force by David Hawkins. I thought that was the most powerful thing I ever read.
It's a very powerful book, but it's also very dry. It's hard to get through. But he's not the one who developed applied kinesiology. So what applied kinesiology is you're actually using your muscles and you're testing your subconscious for what is good. Well, I shouldn't say good or bad. You're looking for positive and negative responses. Now, I'm also certified in self-muscle testing. So, and I do that. And you can actually search this and look up some YouTube videos. So I self-muscle test like this. I make a circle loosely like that. And then I put this finger in the circle and I tap this way. So I will test. I'll say yes, and that's a strong response. My muscle's not letting go. And then I'll say no, and the muscle will let go. Say, my name is Teresa. That's a strong response. My name is Bob. That's a weak response. So,
all right, let me try. Hold on. My name is Greg.
Yeah, see, you can do it that way too. See how he's
I'm going to eat that cupcake.
okay.
Hey, strong response.
Well, you are going to eat it, but now ask if this cupcake is good for you.
There's always one of those students in every class.
There's a wise guy in every class. Okay, that cupcake, it is, and you want to use statements, not questions. Okay.
Okay.
I love ice cream.
Cupcake is beneficial.
Ice cream is beneficial for me.
For Greg's health. Weak. Greg's going to eat it anyway. Strong.
All right. That cupcake is beneficial for Greg's health. Ooh. Oh, whoa. My fingers are slippery. I'm sweating. Let me try it again. That cupcake is really good for Greg's health.
Greg's going to eat it anyway.
Okay.
It's good for his mental
Greg's
health.
going to eat it anyway.
So, Barbara, if you were here and I was muscle testing you, I would have you put your arm either out in front of you or out to your side. And I would ask you to be strong, and I would make the statements, and I would be pushing ever so slightly right on your wrist area. And if your muscle stays locked, that's what we call a strong response. And if your muscle lets go, that's a weak response. And you can actually have the person hold things like artificial sweeteners, and you can muscle test that. Or
cupcake.
A cupcake, or a piece of fruit, or some fresh vegetables. And what's happening is you're communicating with the subconscious mind, and you're relying on the muscles to give you the answers, to give you the responses. And this is
interesting.
How to start with. If I was going to do Psych-K on a client, this is how we begin. We begin with the muscle testing, and we get permission from the subconscious mind to actually proceed with the Psych-K work.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, I never heard of that before.
Yeah. Now, once you learn muscle testing, and it takes an average of about 3 months to learn to self-muscle test, and you'll notice Greg locked his fingers. That's another way you can do it. Once you learn to muscle test and to rely on it, you can muscle test anything. Now is a great time for me to go to the store. No. Weak. Weak is equivalent to a no response. Maybe you've applied to 2 jobs, and you're buying a new house and you love 2, and you're wanting to know which one is beneficial for you to buy or which job is best for you to take. You can muscle test that.
That's
once
fascinating.
you learn to muscle test, you can use it to make all kinds of decisions in your life. It's cool
Very
stuff.
interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa, can you talk a little bit about your fear flow factor assessment?
Yeah, that is the Energy Leadership Index. And that measures 7 levels of energy. And levels 1 and 2 are catabolic energy, and they are related to stress. When you're in levels 1 and 2, your stress response is turned on pretty much 24/7. As you move up the scale from level 1 to level 7, you start to release the catabolic energy and move into anabolic energy. Anabolic energy is very healing, fueling, and constructive. So level 7 is where you are when you're euphoric. Level 7 is Christ consciousness. It's where Buddha hung out. Um, when you're in level 7, you are you're both the observer and the participant. We've all had that feeling where we feel like we're looking down at ourselves and life is just somehow perfect. So what the assessment does is it measures how much of those levels of energy you use in everyday life, and it also measures what happens to you when you're in a stressful situation. And it's one of the only assessments that I'm familiar with that when you get your results, we can then work on changing your energy and increasing your anabolic energy and pushing those numbers up. Most other assessments that most of us are familiar with, the DISC assessment, Myers-Briggs, Taylor Protocols, Core Value, COBOL, all of those assessments tell you who you are, and there's really no changing who you are. My assessment is an indication of how you're being, and that we can work on changing. So if your life is not what you want it to be, taking this assessment and finding out what energy levels you're operating from, and then doing the work to change that is an awesome thing. And
I'm gonna put the link. Pardon me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want everyone to know that I am listing your website so that people can go if they want to sign up for an assessment. I'm sorry. Continue, Teresa.
no, what I was going to say is if I have a client who's chronically ill, that's where I start them. I insist that they take the assessment because the assessment,
if they're chronically ill, okay.
Yeah, the assessment tells me how they're dealing with life. That assessment can cut through 6 months worth of coaching. So it's extremely powerful. And again, once we have those numbers, then we can begin to work on shifting your energy and giving you coping strategies to start relieving that stress and to learn to live in those higher levels of energy. And when you do that, your life is going to become a lot more satisfying and enjoyable.
Beautiful. Okay, so Teresa Bruni, what a powerful healer. Written 2 books, Unsinkable Soul,
yeah,
which is on Amazon.
Yeah, I have that here. This is a co-author project. It's called An Unsinkable Soul. If you go on Amazon and you just Google my name, this book will come up. What we did on this co-author project, there's 22 authors in here. Many of the authors published under their own name. So if you want to get, my copy, you'll want to Amazon search for my name, and you'll see my picture on the front. See my picture's on the front there. It doesn't matter whose copy you buy; the book is the same. But I'd love for you to support me. And my story in this book is about my journey through the depths of chronic illness and the joys of recovery. And I bare my soul in this story, and you learn a lot about me and my life and what caused me to become sick.
Very good. And then also you wrote an ebook, The Top 10 Ways That We Sabotage Our Health and Recovery, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get that for free. Just go on my website and put in your email address and your name, and you can download that one for free. I'm working on another book about the entire healing journey. And at this point, I can't tell you when that's going to be ready because I have no idea.
Okay, but you're moving too fast because I'm curious about the top 10 ways. Could you just like give us a little teaser and tell us the top 3 ways that we sabotage our health and recovery?
Yeah, basically, it's letting everything bother you. You know, it's an inability to go with the flow of life. So being judgmental, you know, going to work every day and being upset with that person that you just can't control. Well, you're never going to have control over that person. So you have to find ways to cope. And basically, it's about all the things that we fight against. You know, that we clench our fists and we fight, and you just can't live that way. The minute you start to live that way, you are releasing stress hormones, and those stress hormones are damaging your body.
All right. So there's a spiritual component that continues to come up throughout the conversation around our health, maintaining good health. You might even say, I don't know, you know, I'll ask you if this sounds right, but physical health is a material indicator of spiritual wellness. Does that sound like something that you might suggest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And let me just say this quickly. The body is extremely symbolic. So issues with your hands are an indication of how you're handling things. Our hips move us forward. So if you're having problems with your hips, it's probably an indication that you have fear of moving forward in your life. Your back is about support. If you're having back issues, you might be having some financial or spiritual or emotional support issues. It depends on where in the back that pain is. Problems with your throat indicate that you're not using your voice or your voice is being stifled. So the point I'm trying to get across is the body's pretty symbolic. You know, issues with your eyes can be a failure to see. Issues with your ears, a failure to hear or to listen. But then it gets more and more in depth. You know, and we don't have time on today's program to go into the internal organs and then the right side of the body has different symbolism than the left side, so it gets complicated. But basically, today for our listeners, you know, your body is symbolic. People who are having heart attacks, you know, they had a broken heart somewhere along the line. It's never been healed.
Yeah.
The body is so symbolic. It sounds too simple to be true, but it is.
Yeah. Thank you. I have one more question for you, and then I'm going to, if there are no more questions from our participants, ask you to sort of sum up anything that you would like for us to know. But something that I saw in your, I think it might have been your blog somewhere, where you spoke about the most effective way to pray. And I really love that. I really loved what you had to say about that. And I'd like to ask you if you could elaborate on that a little bit. What is the most effective way to pray?
Okay. There are all different forms of prayer. The one that most of us are familiar with and we use most often is petitionary prayer. That's when you say, please, please heal my child, heal me, protect my child, protect my spouse. That's a petitionary type of prayer. And it's like when you were a little kid and you would say, "Mommy, please, please, can I have a candy?" And and you kept begging until oftentimes we could break our parents down, and they would finally say, "Fine, go eat your cupcake, Greg."
I was going to eat it anyway.
Just had to slip that in. I'm sorry. But it doesn't work that way with the divine. You're not going to break down the divine with petitionary prayer. So the type of prayer that you want to use is you want to thank whomever it is that you pray to, whether it be Jesus or a God, any God, Buddha, whoever, the universe. You want to give thanks as if it's already happened. So instead of saying, "Please heal me," you want to pray, "Thank you for the blessing of healing me." And then the most important component in the prayer is the feeling. You want to feel as if it has already happened. And that's the most effective form of prayer.
Beautiful. I love it. That's true faith, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you can't, you're going to have some difficulty praying like that if you don't believe that you're worthy of recovery. And that's where the psyche can come in. If you think that you are being punished, if you think that you're such a horrible person that you deserve to be ill, then even that type of a prayer is not going to be as effective as we would hope.
Okay. So, self-forgiveness. So all of these cancer patients and all of these other people with heart disease and other illnesses with these forgiveness issues, it's not just forgiveness of other people. It's about self-forgiveness.
Absolutely. And I find in my practice, those who are hard on other people they're even harder on themselves.
Yes.
I find that across the board.
Yes.
Those who are critical and judgmental, they're even more critical and judgmental of themselves. So if you've got someone in your life right now, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a boss or coworker who is terribly critical and judgmental of you, just keep in mind that they are probably 10 times harder on themselves, and try to practice a little bit of compassion. You don't know what they're going through.
Yeah, thank you. I heard something pretty recently, within the last couple of months, that really moved me. The teaching was that when you are listening to a person that is very critical or harsh, judgmental, difficult to listen to, all you're really getting is a peek inside their mind and understanding how they talk to themselves, because the way people speak to themselves is how they speak to you, which is just another way of saying what you just said.
Yeah.
So Teresa, I want to wrap this up, and I want to give you a couple of minutes to share about anything that we might not have covered. I mean, there's so much material; it's ridiculous. I really want to encourage folks to go to Teresa's website, www.teresabruni.com, and check out everything that she has to offer. But anything that you'd like to add to this, Teresa?
Wow, we covered a lot of ground. I really hope that we didn't confuse anybody. I'd love to ask if there's any questions. If anybody has any short questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I do have a special offer for those who have taken the time to spend with us. And I put it on a piece of paper here. So if you go to my website, teresabruni.com/Greg, and that's in honor of you, Greg. And you'd like to sign up for a complimentary 1-hour session with me, there's a form there that you can fill out. This is a no pressure, there's no obligation, no pressure. Fill out the form. We'll schedule an appointment. We'll talk. We'll see what it is that you really need. And we'll do some live coaching right there on the spot. And that's my gift to the people who are listening. What would I say to wrap up? Pay attention to the little voices that you hear in your head. The little voices that say, you're not worthy, you can't do that, you'll never succeed. Pay attention to those little voices and know that we can shut those off. We can shut those off with Psych-K. Look at your family health history and then think about what we talked about in the beginning of the conversation, the emotional DNA that you may be carrying.
Emotional DNA.
Instead of the physical DNA. What type of emotional baggage have you been taught to carry around that you can get rid of?
All right, I'm going to post that. I'm going to post that for everybody. An excellent opportunity to explore what sort of emotional baggage we're carrying around that may be so deep into our bones, it's in our DNA.
Yeah.
So click this link and sign up for a conversation with Teresa. Teresa, I want to thank you. This was Get Leonora just said, so glad I joined, very informative. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. This was you have a wealth of information on so many dimensions of the topic. And what I love is that you're not just about health. You're not just about one thing. You're really at this place where there's an intersection, and you see the intersection, and you're able to honor that. So I appreciate that. Somebody's calling in. Do you have time?
Yeah, that's my friend Lori from New Jersey.
Oh my God, we're gonna knock them out with all of these accents here tonight. Hi, Lori. Is she in yet?
It's pulsing.
Okay. Let's give it a second.
I haven't seen Lori in years, but those friendships.
Keep trying, Lori. We are. It's Mercury retrograde. Not the best time to do a blab. How about this, Lori? I'm gonna knock you out and try to ask you to come back in because it's not happening. All right, let's do that.
Okay.
Do you want to kick this person? Yes. All right, Lori, come on back in, Lori.
We have somebody. It looks like from England on the map.
Looks like somebody. I don't know if that's England.
It's pretty far up there. I don't know if that's England either.
Seem to be having some trouble. Motivate Yuandi.
So Lori, maybe you could type if you have a question, could you type it into the comment section since we can't manage to get you on the screen?
Yes, thank you.
I'm really glad to see your face, girl.
All right. Yes. Okay. Go right ahead. Go ahead, Laurie. You can type your question in.
Yeah, she says having connection issues.
Yeah. It's not your fault. Okay. And while she's gonna try again. She's a persistent woman.
Let me try to let her in this time. Oh, you hit it. Okay. You know I have that intuitive power.
Actually, yeah, that's right. I should let you do that because yeah, it's saying that she's on the air, but there's no video.
Yeah.
In the meantime, while we're waiting for the universe to open the door for Lori, is there anybody else in here that would like to ask a question?
I would love to answer your questions. If anybody has a question, please. I'd love to answer your questions.
And you can write them in the box on the right-hand side or click an open seat. Here, I'm going to kick Lori out and see if when she comes back in, see if it's better for you to let her in. Okay. All right, Lori, we're gonna try again. Okay.
Mel, what line of healing do I do? I have all types of tools in my toolbox, and it depends on the person and what their needs are. You can go out to my website and you can look at some of the different types of healing that I do. But basically, I do mind, body, spirit healing. It depends on the condition that you have. But if you come to me and you're chronically ill, we're going to look at your diet. We're going to look at your exercise. We're going to look at your thought process, how much sleep you're getting. I mean, I don't leave any stone unturned. We're going to look at it all. Oh, terrible fibromyalgia. Can your program possibly help? Yes, I can help fibromyalgia. If you have chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia is part of the package. My fibro was terrible. Pain. The pain would just break me down to the point when I would cry. Yes, I can help people with fibromyalgia. Definitely. Now, let me see if we can get Lori on here. I'm clicking, Greg.
Oh, well, I see that you're clicking. She's getting more props. Lori, you will get more props than me without even showing your face. But I love your persistence. But you know what? We are going to have to start closing this down for the evening. What I do want to say thank you to everybody for participating. Most of all, to Teresa, who we're going to do this again, Teresa.
I would love that.
Yeah, we're gonna continue to have these blabs, and I'd like to interview you again, not too in the not too distant future.
Okay. Can I say something just real quick?
Yes.
To Mel, what I find is many people who have had long-term chronic health conditions, they cannot afford to coach with me privately because, they've been sick for so long, their finances have gone down the tubes. And I know that firsthand because I was on disability for 9 years. So please have your friend, have her get on my mailing list on my website, because I am coming out with a group coaching program for people with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome.
Really?
So so she can't afford to coach with me privately, which is the quickest way to get results. Then maybe she can afford to get into the group program. And Greg, I'd like to ask you something.
Sure.
I would love to come back and interview you.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Thank you. I would love that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's set that up.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. This was so great.
Thank you, everybody. Is it? Are we done? Because I got a cupcake over there. All right, folks. I mean, this is okay. Let's see. How about this? Mel has a question.
Okay.
How about if we give her a way to get in touch with you after we close out the blab, and you can speak with Mel personally? How about that? All right.
Yeah.
So how can we give you a way to get in? How can we give Mel a way to get in touch with you?
Of course, I don't want to announce my phone number because, we got people from all over the world.
You have a number on your website?
Yeah, go to my website, go to the Contact Me page, and you can either fill out the form and I'll get the email and send me your phone number. I'll call you. Or I believe my Google Voice number is on that page.
Here you go, Mel. Here you go. Right there. Click that link, Mel, that I just posted, and you can get in touch with Teresa directly as soon as we hang up the phone, and I'll go get my cupcake.
Don't put the cupcake.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for participating. Teresa, you are awesome.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's talk some more later on, okay?
Oh my gosh, we barely scratched the surface, people.
I know.
We barely scratched the surface.
We're gonna do this again real soon. All right.
Awesome.
All right, folks.
Okay.
Thanks again. Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
Well.
Enjoy your cupcake, Greg.
I will. Thank you.
Bye.